Hello again, it's Debbie from acrylicpouring.com. Today I'm going to be experimenting with some of the paints that I've made up myself. In a previous video you'll see that I used some soap making colorants, some micas and some liquid colorants to try and create some of my own paints. So basically what we've got here is a gold sparkle mica, and that one has created my sparkly gold paint just here. And then I've got a Merlot sparkle mica, and this is my Merlot. It's a very rich, deep red colour. And then lastly, I've got a copper sparkle mica, and here is my copper colour. So you can see there's lots of different colours going on in here. This one's really nice. So what I would like to do is see how these are going to work as paints, because basically all they are at the moment is a little bit of the sparkle mica with some Floetrol, which makes them quite thin. Actually, they're not as thick as I might usually use for my paints, plus a few drops of silicone in each, and I'm just going to match them up with some of my regular black paint. I think I'll do a mini dirty pour. Got a tiny little canvas here just to see how they're going to work if I pour everything in together. So this is just a little bit of black that I had left over from a previous pour, which I've got saved in my pot here, but I'm just going to use that as my dirty pour cup. Oops, that would be very dirty if I spilled everything. So I'm going to use that as my dirty pour cup and pour some of these other colors into it, and then we'll pour it on here and we'll see what happens. So I'm just going to add a little bit of each of the colours into the black. And there goes the gold. Some of the Merlot. As you can see, they're quite thin. I didn't really think of any way that I could thicken them up without adding some actual paint, and if I add actual paint it's going to change the colour and the consistency, so I just wanted to have them just as the Floetrol and the micas, so we'll see what happens. It may or may not work out. If it doesn't, you know, the micas didn't cost me anything, it's just a little bit of wasted Floetrol, so I don't have to worry too much, and a little bit of the copper in there. Okay. So my dirty pour technique is never very good at the best of times. It always turns out to be a mess, so I'm not expecting this to be very successful anyway, but let's see what happens. I'm just going to give it just a little bit of agitation there in the cup. And now it's a lot of paint in there, most likely for this one, but like I said, there's not much really that's wasted, so I'm just going to tip it up and I'll give it a second for the black come down through and for all of those colours to mix. What I can see is a little bit of the copper, the Merlot, and probably the gold here on the bottom of the cup. So I know when I poured them in from the height, they all mixed up a little bit in this cup. It does have a little bit of silicone too, so who knows if we'll get any kind of action, or whether really when I mix all these together, mix all the micas together and the paint, whether anything will happen or whether they'll all just kind of blend together. I really don't know yet. So let's find a flat part just here. Seeing it's so small. See if I can zoom in a little bit closer again. Okay, are you ready? Let's see what's going to happen. Oh my goodness. Let me see, can I show you the bottom of the pot there? I think it's too dark, you probably won't be able to see. But what's going on in the bottom of that pot there, pretty phenomenal. No, I don't think you'll be able to see, it's not able to focus. But I think you probably can see what's going on here on my canvas. And that looks very, very nice. Very nice indeed. So I don't really want to do very much to it because I'm loving it exactly how it is, but I do need to get some of these edges covered. So I think I'm just going to take my palette knife and see if I can pick up some of the drips and use the drips on the side here. And hopefully in so doing I can also transfer some of these nice patterns from my palette knife onto the side as well. That seems to be working well. I saw somebody only today, I was watching a YouTube video, had such a phenomenal technique with the palette knife in terms of how she was picking up the paint in the pattern itself and then transferring it to the parts of the canvas that needed it. Phenomenal technique. I can only hope to be as good one day, but it still seems to be doing good. I hope I'm not getting my head in the way. A little bit more. I can transfer, actually these patterns are transferring really beautifully from the paint to the sides of the canvas too. It's not mixing, it's doing really beautifully. I'll just cover this back area. Wow. Wowee. Nearly done. A few little bits there, that's a nice bit with that bright red. Okay, how are we doing? Oh, even though I've covered the canvas, it's quite thin, and I can see on the sides, although it was covered, it is still dripping through, dripping off rather, and I've got little thin bits of the canvas showing through still. That's obviously because the paint was really much thinner than I usually use, because it's just the mica and the Floetrol, not actually any paint in it itself. So I'll just keep adding a few layers, and if I keep adding as it dries and thickens up, hopefully I'll be able to keep those areas covered. Yeah, I think it'll be fine. Wow, that's spectacular. Again, I'm not sure if you can pick up all of the shimmering goodness on the camera, but let me bring the camera down now so you can take a look, and hopefully you can pick up all this fabulous glittering and the mica shimmers that I've got going on here. So here we are in a bit more detail. I think maybe if I come off to the side, can you see any of the sparkles? I think you may be able to see some sparkling in that direction. Yes, I think you can. Look, lots and lots of sparkle from all of that mica. Wow. So I'm not even going to bother to even think about torching it, because I'm just so delighted with it as it is, and because the paint is a little thin, I'm afraid if I torch it, then what will happen is I'll actually end up moving it or kind of blowing it away, because my torch is really, really fierce. It's a little bit too fierce, really. Wow, that looks awesome. I'm so delighted that I gave this a try, and now I'm wishing that I hadn't done a mini canvas, that I'd done a huge canvas. Wow, that's phenomenal. Okay, so let's hope that it's going to stay that way. I pray to the pouring gods. I'll keep an eye on it, see what happens to those sides, and then I'll come back and let you see once it's finished. And here's my little trial finished. It's all very, very glitzy and glossy. Lots of glitter and shine to it. Really very, very metallic, really nice. Absolutely delighted with this result. I should definitely be using some more of these paints, or at least my homemade paints, in a project in the future. Thanks very much for watching.